most of all for the protection and blessing that you give all of our students. We're mindful when we see the weather changes from day to day, just how capable and in control you are. So we're thankful for that. We're thankful for the times that were spared, and we just pray for your guidance today, that your hand is with us and guides us as we make decisions that benefit this community and these students. In thy name we pray. Amen.
This meeting of Enterprise City Board of Education is now called to order. Please let the meeting minutes reflect we have a quorum present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Dr. Thomas.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon, everyone. We will now consider a motion to approve the agenda for March 22nd, 2022 meeting of the Enterprise City Board of Education.
So moved.
Board, you have been provided with a copy of the February 22nd board minutes. I trust you have taken the time to review these minutes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes? May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving the February 22nd board meeting minutes, please raise your right hand.
At this time, I would like to invite Holly Hill Principal, Mrs. Christy Mitten, to come to the forward for a special presentation.
I would like to first call Courtney Hadaway up. Courtney has been with us since October, and typically,
Wow.
yeah. Normally, I choose someone that has worked for us for a long time. Courtney has come in. She is one of our custodians at Holly Hill.
Wow.
And has done an amazing job. Works so hard, tirelessly. I had teachers come in like, "Oh my gosh, we just love her. We saw her cleaning the bathroom with a toothbrush." I mean, there is not one detail, anything that she does not make sure is left perfect every single day, and has a smile on her face every day. And so we are just so grateful for you and thankful for you. And we have a little gift to recognize you and honor you with today.
Courtney, thank you.
Next,
you.
Next, I would like to call Stephanie Sayer up to the front. She is our kindergarten teacher at Holly Hill. She used to teach first grade and then decided she wanted to go down and teach the babies. And so having taught first grade, she knows what those standards are, what the expectations are for those children when they enter first grade. And I can say as a first grade teacher, she had high expectations, high standards. And these kindergarten children, I invite anybody to come and check out her room. She is not the normal teacher. She does not teach the normal way. But what she does is absolutely mind-blowing. Her kindergarten students are writing paragraphs. It's unbelievable. She lives at the school. I have to get on to her all the time that you have to spend time with your family. It's not all about work. She's got to find a balance. On Fridays, most people at 3:15, 3:30, they are ready to get out the door. Not Miss Sayer. She is there till 7, 8 o'clock at night, working.
Yeah, we got to work
about every single day. I know, I tell her, we got to work on it. But she is absolutely incredible. And I love the fact that she is not your normal teacher. Most days she's dressed in costume, anything to get the attention of her students. Truly, last week, I mean, she was, they were trying to catch a leprechaun. And so the next day she came in like an all black, like she'd been staking out the place, trying to catch this leprechaun. So anything and everything to hold her students' attention. And it's just absolutely incredible. And I'm so honored to to say I get to work with her, and she's one that teaches me some new things. So thank you, Ms. Davis. And then last but not least, I have Lily Anderson. Lily, come up. I want you guys to look at this face because this is a child that when she grows to be an adult is going to make a difference. I want everyone to see. She is going to make such a difference in this world. She has a heart of gold. If there's one person that sees you can see that the cup is half full or half empty, she's going to see it as half full. She, when running for SGA office, she tells all the boys and girls, you know what, it's okay. We're just all going to do our best, and we're all winners no matter what. True conversation, correct? She is usually out front helping us with different things, and she's always out there leading cheers and getting our boys to even cheer, which is quite amazing in itself. But she has so much potential. And I always choose a 6th grade student. And Lily is not a 6th grade student. What grade are you in? 5th grade. Yeah. But all of these years, I've watched this child grow up. And just every year, you are the same. You just get better and better and better. And I love you so much. And you're going to do the most wonderful things in life. And I just cannot wait to see when you're grown what that is. She'll probably be president one day because she just has that much potential. And I love you and I'm proud of you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And guys, thank you all that were nominated and recognized today for your hard work and dedication. And you being here since October, you got to be killing it. Right. So keep up the great work. Tom, I can't believe I don't see any tears in your eyes there a little bit. Because I almost welled up a little bit myself. And I ain't talking about my daughter, but I was like, man, that's some big shoes to fill, but you will fill them. And I'm so proud of all of you. Keep up the hard work and dedication and keep working towards those goals. Parents that are here and support people, you're free to go now unless you want to stay for our riveting board meeting. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Yeah, good to see you. All right.
Board Next, you can find copies of the January 2022 financial reports in your package. May I have a motion to approve the financial reports?
So moved.
May I have a second? Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving the January 2022 financial reports, please raise your right hand.
All right. Board, we recently received lighting panel bids for Enterprise City Schools. We received 3 bids, with Sequel Electrical Supply being the lowest. I recommend you approve the bid presented before you.
Board, you have heard Dr. Thomas's recommendation to approve the lighting panel bid received by Sequel Electrical Supply. May I have a motion to approve the bid?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving the lighting panel bid, please raise your right hand.
All right. We have also recently opened the bidding process to provide service to replace HVAC filters as needed at all Enterprise City Schools. 3 vendors submitted bids, with AirTech of Tuscaloosa LLC being the lowest. I recommend you approve the bid presented before you.
Board, you have heard Dr. Thomas's recommendation to approve the HVAC HVAC filter service bid received by AirTech of Tuscaloosa LLC. May I have a motion to approve the bid?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Matt, why was the difference so great?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Okay. I know.
Yeah, the company that has it now, I really thought got the bid because they know exactly what to get into. There wasn't a low bid on it.
Wow.
The one who did get low bid has been our filter service in the past.
Oh,
But I'm confident.
okay.
And is this an annual?
They do it every 2 to 3 months, depending on what.
Well, I know, like,
The contract, is it annual? Is it an annual contract or is it a 2-3 year contract? That's what he's,
Will be.
Okay.
The 53,000 for a year is what you're asking.
Yes.
Right.
Just asking if it's an annual contract
Yes,
or.
that's annual contract, this one is.
Okay.
This price is for 1 year.
All in favor of approving the HVAC filter service bid, please raise your right hand.
All right. Next up is the Amplify ELA K-6 curriculum quote. We would like to receive approval for the funding of the elementary textbook adoption for the next 6 years for K-6. You have the funding sources and more details provided to you in your packets. And this is for our English language arts program, our reading program for the next 6 years.
Board, you have heard Dr. Thomas's recommendation to approve the funding for the Amplify ELA K-6 curriculum for the elementary textbook adoption. May I have a motion to approve the agreement?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Is 6 years real?
That's what we normally do.
Really?
They do a rotation every 6 years.
The reason I said that, I thought textbooks were good for about 3. I didn't realize.
No, they do 6. They'll do it and then the state determines when something comes up for adoption, but they do a 6-year cycle.
Sounds
All in favor of approving the funding of the Amplify curriculum, please raise your right hand.
All right. I'm presenting employment contract renewals for 2 of our principals, Ms. Cammie McClenny and Mr. Drew Danner. It is my recommendation that both principal contracts be approved as before.
Board, you have heard Dr. Thomas's recommendation to approve both principal contract renewals. May I have a motion to approve these contracts?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving both contracts, please raise your right hand.
All right. Additional fencing is needed at the baseball softball complex behind the indoor hitting facility, including a new gate off of the baseball field to the bullpen. I recommend you approve the fencing quote received by Creamer's Fencing Company.
Board, you have heard Dr. Thomas's recommendation to approve the fencing quote. May I have a motion to approve the quote?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
This is for around the baseball complex.
The backside for the thing with the hitting.
This is under retention behind the indoor hitting facility, going ahead and an additional gate. And then they will bring their equipment off the baseball side, straight to bullpen.
All in favor of approve, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you're fine. I jumped the gun. Go ahead.
All in favor of approving the Creamer's fencing quote, please raise your right hand.
Okay. We are needing to purchase and replace a pressure washer for our CMP department. The C kitchen pressure washer quote. Before you list the equipment details, I recommend you approve this purchase. If you have any questions over this, is an indoor pressure washer they use to clean facilities. And Ms. Dillard told me earlier today that they're going to have to send another bid for multiple ones for some of the other lunchrooms. But the high school, this is one that they're replacing. They already had this, but it needs to be replaced.
Board, you have heard Dr. Thomas's recommendation to approve the pressure washer quote. May I have a motion to approve the quote?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Whoever didn't say it
Second.
can have the second. One of us. said
Yes,
it in 1
yes,
second.
yes.
Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving the C kitchen pressure washer quote, please raise your right hand.
Our routine bleacher seat inspection is due. This is a mandatory inspection. I recommend you approve the quote for this service at the high school and junior highs as provided to you by bleachers and seats in your files.
Board, you have heard Dr. Thomas's recommendation to approve the bleacher seats inspection quote. May I have a motion to approve the quote?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Insurance require?
Yes, state requires we have those inspected every year.
Is there any discussion? We have. All in favor of approving the bleachers and seats inspection quote, please raise your right hand.
Okay. Our maintenance department is in need of 2 additional mowers. We have provided you with a quote from Dowling Truck and Tractor pricing each mower. I recommend you approve this purchase.
Board, you have heard Dr. Thomas's recommendation to approve the purchase of 2 mowers. May I have a motion to approve the quote?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
This is for both? One each.
It's 2 separate. I think there's one each.
I only have one in my-
Are they?
What is it?
Quote is for one more.
Just one more?
I only have one in
That's the
mine.
price for one more, I think, we need 2.
We need 2 of these.
Yeah.
I saw it said quantity 1. I priced them over later.
So
Yeah,
it's
that one- it's a little
$12,000, so we're
pricey.
talking 24.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than the one I have at my house.
This one will go faster?
Yeah, apparently it goes faster and gets better than the ones at my house. But only the best for Matt in the maintenance department.
We
All
have
right.
competitive lawnmower team.
Well, we try to get 7 years out of lawnmowers, every 7 years direct day. We try to sell them while they're still alive, and the ones we got 3 that will auction off.
Okay.
I think she was asking if you race them on the side is what she was asking.
I'm just thinking about weekend. Yeah.
Supplemental lawnmower.
There you go.
Matt, when you put them up for auction, is that money used to buy more lawnmowers or that's
What
not
we
what?
sell them for won't buy a new lawnmower for Matt.
Okay.
We'll put it towards something, but it won't be enough.
It won't
to
be
buy one
another
of Matt's
lawnmower.
lawnmowers.
Gotcha. All in favor of approving the Dowling truck and tractor mower quote, please raise your right hand.
All right, the maintenance department is also looking to purchase an additional burnisher. The estimate in front of you lists the equipment's details. I recommend you approve this purchase.
Board, you have heard Dr. Thomas's recommendation to approve the Ryder burnisher purchase. May I have a motion to approve the quote?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I don't know what that is.
It's the thing that once you wax the floor, you go over it with a high speed
Okay.
and it burns it in and it kind of gives it that extra.
Well, this school has never had one. This is the first purchase for them.
Okay.
It's for the parent tree.
All in favor of approving the Ryder burnisher quote by Enterprise Paper and Janitorial, please raise your right hand.
Do you really write it?
No, this one is a walk behind. We've got some of them that are right on, but I believe this one is a walk behind, if I remember this correct. So this, I'm
Says
sorry.
right.
It says Ryder.
This is, I'm sorry, this
This
is
is
a right on.
Hillcrest.
This is
Yes.
Hillcrest.
Yeah, it's a rider.
Yes, they usually last, we try to get about 12 years out of it. Yeah, I'm thinking it's a different one I've got.
All right.
For that much, you better be able to ride it. Wheels.
All right. For preventative purposes, did we vote on that? We did vote on
Yeah.
that. Okay. For preventative purposes, we are consulting ARC remediation in regards to the proper removal and disposal of asbestos containing materials in our schools. The quote before you highlights one of the schools we are hoping to schedule the removal process service for this summer. Our program is to complete this process at all of the remaining facilities at this time as time permits in the future. I recommend you approve this quote. So the quote has every school that still has asbestos in it, but we're only going to focus on one school this summer, and that's the one that's highlighted. So that's the one you're approving today.
Board, you have heard Dr. Thomas's recommendation to approve the quote by ARC Remediation. May I have a motion to approve the quote?
No, so moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving the quote by ARC Remediation, please raise your right hand.
So is there some timeline on when it has to be done? Sure.
There is, we have an abatement process, so it's all safe and contained, but when you remove it, it goes to, and this next quote's going to go along with that. This one's going to go into the air quality. You have to test the air quality before and after to make sure, because it's an airborne thing, but it's in the tiles mostly is what the problem is. The old tiles, they use that to make
Right.
asbestos to make the tiles, and we just haven't replaced those tiles. But when you take them up, there's a whole process. But we're getting there. We only have, how many, there are 4 other schools after we do this one, I think, if I'm not
Yeah,
correct, not mistaken.
I thought all those deadlines had come and gone. That's,
You had to, there were certain times you had to remove, the rest of it you had to monitor and maintain. If we get rid of all of it, we get it out from under those regulations. Yeah, I have to go every year to get certified and all this. All that goes away, and it's just much easier if it's complete out of the system.
Gosh, it'd be nice when it's
Especially
done.
One a year for the next.
And that's kind of what we're shooting for because of the time parameters. It takes time to get it done. I mean, because you have to go and like I think at one school has a lot of classrooms. We'd have to take all those classrooms, take the tile out, and just time parameters what it is.
It's all summer.
But it is
Have
our
to do-
objective to get it done. So every summer we're going to tackle one or two until we can get it done. So we should be done in the next several years here. By the time one of you, well, maybe I don't know who's last. I don't know who comes off the board last year.
And is there a time frame on it says after this year at 5% for future abatement prices? Is there a time frame where they're saying, all right, at this point we have to we'll have to re-quote it in the future. I mean, as we do one, this quote's good for this one. If we were to do all of them, those quotes will be good. But next year, of course, hopefully things will trickle down because nothing we're bidding right now is going in that direction. Everything's going up.
Yeah.
The meeting I was in prior to some stuff going up. All right. Again, this quote and the previous quote go hand in hand, but are provided by separate companies. The asbestos removal process requires us to inspect the air quality following the asbestos removal. We received a quote from the environmental materials consultants to provide this service. I recommend you approve this quote.
Board, you've heard Dr. Thomas's recommendation to approve the air sample quote by environmental materials consultants. May I have a motion to approve the quote?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Dr. Thomas, when they come in and move it, these people come in and make sure the air
Right.
quality is good?
We don't let anybody back in until they give us the green light that it's okay.
Okay.
Because we don't want anybody in there. They'll come, they'll do a pre-test to see what the levels are going in, and then they'll do a test after the fact to make sure everything's done properly.
I want to be a consultant when I grow up.
I know.
Is that a right?
It is, but it's one of those.
It is.
All in favor of approving the air sample quote, please raise your right hand.
All right. Enterprise City Schools is wanting to enter into an agreement with Tri-County Football Officials Association to provide football officials and registered clock operators for all EHS, Coffmanville Junior High, and Dolphin Junior High home games to be played during the 2022-2023 school year. I recommend you approve this agreement.
Board, you have heard Dr. Thomas's recommendation to approve the agreement between EHS and Tri-County Football Officials Association. May I have a motion to approve the agreement?
Someone,
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
is Boomer his name or position?
That would be his name.
I thought maybe there was a Boomer.
That's his name.
All in favor of approving the football officials agreement, please raise your right hand.
You know, I knew that I had to.
We have several consent agenda items to include out-of-state and in-state trip requests. You may set aside any of these to be voted upon separately. It is my recommendation that you approve all of the consent agenda items.
Board, you have heard Dr. Thomas's recommendation to approve of all of the consent agenda items. May I have a motion?
Some of,
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving all consent agenda items, please raise your right hand.
Board, it has come time for us to replace our servers. We have received a quote from server replacement from Clear Winds Technologies. The quote breaks down the cost involved. I recommend you approve this purchasing quote.
Board, you have heard Dr. Thomas's recommendation to approve the server replacement quote by Clear Winds Technologies. May I have a motion to approve the quote?
So moved.
May I have a second?
second,
Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving the quote, please raise your right hand.
Okay. Board, I propose that we adopt the HMH English curriculum for grades 7 through 12. The quote in front of you breaks down the details of what will be purchased. I recommend you approve this curriculum adoption. This is, again, for the secondary schools we approved earlier, the elementary schools.
Okay. You have heard Dr. Thomas's recommendation to approve the HMH English curriculum adoption. May I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
second,
Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving the curriculum quote, please raise your right hand.
Board, you have a copy of the personnel list in your packets. It is my recommendation that you approve the personnel action items as listed on the personnel list for leave, resignations, retirements, transfers, and employment.
You have heard Dr. Thomas's recommendation to approve all personnel action items. May I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving the personnel action items, please raise your right hand.
Well, as you well know, we are the proud recipients of a 7A state championship. So in basketball, our boys came through. They were successful in their efforts, and I am so proud of them and proud of Coach Harrelson and the team. Really proud for that group of seniors who were on the cusp last year and got so close, but were able to get back and finish the job in a nail biter. So I don't know how many of you watched the game, but it came down literally to the last shot. And they had to miss their last shot with just a few tenths of a second. So, real proud of them, and we'll honor them probably a little later in the future. Our junior beta club members were very well represented, and we'll talk about them a little further too. I didn't want to prolong today's meeting since it was a noon meeting. I know most of you are taking your lunch break, so I'm done with my portion of that. But I just want to say I'm real proud of everybody and all the work and effort that went into all of that, all the teachers and sponsors and principals who helped support the junior beta club members as they were off in Birmingham. And it was nice being there and hearing all the enterprise schools being recognized and called for this place, that place. And, and we were very well represented. So I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. Only a few thousand kids there, but our kids shine every time we go. So, but they were real proud of that. Also, I want to thank everybody's attendance. Mostly everybody's gone, but thank you for hanging out with us. So, but our next scheduled board meeting will be April 26th at 5 p.m. back at the normal time. And we have an executive session that concerns attorney confidentiality. To go into session, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right.
Did you see where they named James Clements coach as the 7th?
I did see where he got 7A coach of the year, but we got the trophy and the ring, so that's okay. So we're good. They can have that, but we get as long as we come home with the big thing, we know who the coach of the year is. We don't know what their team looked like prior to.
Okay.
We don't know what they looked like prior to. They might have been a 2-15 team last year, and they turned it around. We don't know. But we know who our coach of the year is in our hearts. He's over at Enterprise High School.
Right.
Need a vote on going.
Yeah. All in favor of approving going into executive session, please raise your right hand.
Mr. President, let the minutes reflect that I confirm and verify some justifiable ground for the executive conference and ask that the minutes so reflect this.
This should take a